Oh, for fuck's sake. I've been going on for like 5 minutes and it wasn't even recording. Anyway, what I'm doing here is an exercise where I'm going to be doodling or drawing or scribbling or whatever for 5 minutes with my eyes closed. The timer and music and such that I'm using in the background is copyright free, but there's some information I have to include in the video description, which I'll do that, as well as the link to where I got the exercise. So pause for a minute while I rearrange my camera so you can see my hands instead of just me sitting around with my eyes closed. Okay, and now it's going to take an eternity to get it back to where it was. That really is a heck of a good exercise, I think. I don't know that the rainbow paper is possibly kind of an expensive way to do that, but boy, I would do that again. I think it really brings some stuff out. I might just get like a notebook and a pen for doing it. But many years ago, I got The Artist's Way, and the journal. You're supposed to do the journal, like write 2 pages every morning. I could never get into that. It's like, all I'm going to do is sit here and bitch. It's easier for me to do that on the computer, and I don't really want to do that all the time. But if I was doing it with my eyes closed, and had some music going, yeah, I think it's a good therapeutic technique. I really do. I think it's great. And like I said, I'm going to put the link for where I learned about the technique, and it's a really good blog. It's called Experience Writing, and I recommend to follow it. And try that exercise out. I thought I was going to be more prone to drawing, but I actually ended up writing, and so yeah, before I end this up, why don't I read what I wrote. What am I doing here? What will bleed from me as I leave myself blind? Is this what it is like before birth? Perhaps this is the wrong medium, but perhaps not. We must learn to adapt to what we are given. Some might even consider me blessed. Look at everything I have. I did not get the dream of fame and adulation, but would that have spelled the death of my soul? Would I have become shallow and hard? There was meanness in me planted there by the sarcasm and judgment I saw all around me. Sarcasm was, and I am very sarcastic, and I wouldn't want to be totally without it, but I got that from my father. Sarcasm was one of his major defenses, and I picked it up from him for sure. Looking back, I feel like my father, there are certain signs that he had ADHD. He was a college professor. He was very intelligent. In some ways, he could be very, very judgmental, very hard on people. And, he kind of, I don't know if it was just that generation, though it's like all generations. I see this scrutiny of other people's appearances when you could just be like, man, that person doesn't appeal to me that way, so I'm not gonna ask them out or whatever. Why say mean things about them? What good exactly is that gonna do? But he would remark on people's appearances, and various different ways. And like there was one actress around my age. I don't know if she's a little younger maybe, um, but he referred to her as the plainest of plain Janes, and I'm like, if that's what you think about her, what do you think about me? Because I'm certainly not what anybody would call beautiful. I don't see the reason to say something like that. There's, not that I'm at this stage of the game, God, no, I am not looking for anybody in a romantic sense. I've got too many problems, physical problems, even to just be like, no, I cannot keep up with that kind of thing. Forget it. And also, I don't really trust anybody that way. It doesn't turn out well. I don't do it right, so that's not something I want to do. But if I did, doesn't mean I don't have eyes. There's, or whatever, a sense of people. There's dudes that appeal to me and dudes who do not. And the ones who don't, why would I have to be cruel about it? I just anyway, I just don't think it's necessary to go around remarking on people's, things that people can't do anything about, especially, there's some fashion runway stuff where, not that I follow this stuff, but sometimes you'll end up seeing it's like, why the hell would anybody design that? That just looks ridiculous. But that's not about the person wearing the item, that's about the item itself. So, anyway, getting off track here on my tangent. But yeah, that is a great exercise to write with your eyes closed, because the stuff starts coming out. You might see it and you'd be like, "Whoa, no, I'm not going to put that. That just sounds weird." But when you don't have that input, it's going to be different. Now, I cannot say how somebody who lives with blindness or extreme visual impairment or whatever, how they navigate that sort of thing, because I don't have that, and I imagine for them it's different. Like you're more cognizant of what you're creating in different ways, and like maybe they'd be dictating what they were saying, or putting it in Braille and then having someone translate it to publish it, or I don't know. So that would be, if anybody can enlighten me on that would be cool to find out. But for me, who is somebody who usually relies on my sight when I'm writing, it brings out something totally different, because I don't have all the faculties there that I'm used to having when I'm writing, creating in that fashion. So it's a whole new thing, and I think it's going to be a really interesting tool for dealing with some of like my PTSD issues and stuff, which I never started dealing with until I was over 50, because I really didn't know that that's what was going on with me, and found that out, and it's like it makes all kinds of sense now, but I got a lot to catch up with. Anyway, so if you give that technique a try, you can let me know what you think about it, and especially let Maria, who is the author of the experience writing blog, know what you think about it. And I'm going to go watch a video about how to make pistachio herb crusted salmon with asparagus spinach salad. I like to watch cooking technique videos. Guarantee that's going to make me hungry. That just sounds really good. And I haven't really had anything to eat today except for a protein shake and some beef sticks. Good Lord, the brunch of champions, I guess. Sometimes my dietary habits are pretty pathetic. And I know what everybody thinks given my size, but actually, no, it's not that. A lot of the time I don't eat, and then I'm real hungry, and it's not great when you've got a condition like I have diabetes. I should eat kind of regular small meals, but I don't do that. Usually, I generally eat 2 meals a day, but I don't want to get into talking about dietary shit. It was all started by the pistachio herb crusted salmon. I don't have any pistachios, but I've got herbs. Got some salmon. I don't have any asparagus, but I've got some spinach. So, yeah, we'll see maybe something a little different for dinner. Alright, anyway, peace be to you, and I will catch up with you next time.